Labour Party have made a mess of it. It's yet another U-turn. Like last week, Keir Starmer's got so many U-turns, he's really going around in circles now. It also means we've got this extraordinary by-election in Rochdale in 2 weeks where the candidate of the Labour Party on the ballot paper is somebody the Labour Party are not going to vote for. So then what's going to happen to him if he gets elected to Parliament? And then it's the embarrassment for them of having selected a person like this in the first place who believes in crazy conspiracy theories and is clearly out of touch with reality.
Media and perhaps people's opinions as well work faster than the processes of internal political parties. Is that what's happened here?
Yes, it does happen. That happens to all political parties. This is a pretty spectacular case of it, though, because on multiple levels, the Labour Party have made a mess of it. It's yet another U-turn. Like last week, Keir Starmer's got so many U-turns, he's really going around in circles now. It also means we've got this extraordinary by-election in Rochdale in 2 weeks where the candidate of the Labour Party on the ballot paper is somebody the Labour Party are not going to vote for. So then what's going to happen to him if he gets elected to Parliament? And then it's the embarrassment for them of having selected a person like this in the first place who believes in crazy conspiracy theories and is clearly out of touch with reality. You know, you can have many different opinions on the war in Gaza, but the opinion that this was all allowed by the Israelis deliberately, the October 7th attacks, you know, the atrocities that were committed against their own people, is so daft. You know, it is so detached from the real world. What are they doing putting up a candidate who lives in a conspiracy rabbit hole? So it's really bad news for the Labour Party all around, obviously.
Kathleen, this was a difficult one, obviously, for any political party because of the proximity to the by-election. Things were left so late, or maybe this stuff didn't come out early enough for any changes to be made in terms of the nominations closings. Now you've got this ridiculous situation where it will say on the ballot paper, Azhar Ali, Labour, but he is not really the official candidate because they've withdrawn support for him. And if he does get elected, he may not, then he'll have to sit in as an independent. So it's a right mess. What do you think of the kind of unfolding of the story, the way that it was treated, the timescale of it?
I think that they've been blindsided by this quite clearly. And I do understand why it's taken them a while to work out what to do, because it's an impossible conundrum. I read with interest in the Telegraph, Charles Moore, no less, saying that this candidate, Ali, actually has a long-standing record of opposition to Islamist extremism, and Jewish MPs, ex-MPs have stood by him. At the same time that we've got George Galloway steaming into view in the same area, we've got the Reform Party trying to mop up the Labour votes there, and those are options that lots of people won't want to see either on the left. So it's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess, and I can understand why they didn't immediately know what to do about it, even though it was an extremely stupid thing to say.
Now, Kathleen, I know you're very much on the side of free speech. We've had many people getting in touch. And I suppose they've maybe failed to make a distinction between someone who is standing in a by-election and a private citizen, which is probably an important distinction to make. But let me just read this one thought out. This is from Beth in Newcastle. I understand that Azhar Ali's views are ill-informed and stupid, but does that mean that he is anti-Semitic per se? Certainly against Israel and the way that they are conducting themselves with regards to Palestine. But does that mean that he hates Jews? This conflating of criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism is dangerous because it prevents proper critique of what Israel is actually doing. This needs to be clarified as to what is anti-Semitism versus anti-Zionism. What would you say about that?
Well, I agree with the general sentiment. I really abhor the way that any criticism of Israel in some quarters is treated automatically as anti-Semitic. It's being used as a weapon to shut down discussion about the terrible things that are happening in Gaza right now. So I agree with that. This is, I can't look into his soul. I don't know whether he's anti-Semitic or not. It's a really unevidenced thing to believe as far as I can see. Again, there's there was a position that he was actually just saying it for unscrupulous reasons. He doesn't actually believe it himself in order to attract votes. That's one position I've read. I just don't know, but he is standing for election. And I think the problem for the Labour Party is sets a precedent. If they let that go, then there's plenty of other people that can say things like that and mean them anti-Semitically in the party. So yeah, it's six. I see problems on both sides, basically.
Yeah.
No solution here.
William, what would you say on that? I mean, this is different. He's not a private individual. He's someone standing in a by-election. Therefore, he has to come up to a specific standard, and can't be saying things that some people, many Jewish people, find very, very uncomfortable. But on the kind of broader point about free speech, which many people have been getting in touch with us today, some people saying, well, hate speech is not free speech. And then other people saying, well, hang on a second, the two are not the same. Criticism of Israel does not always evidence anti-Semitism. Do you think we can be as nuanced as that?
Well, these things are a bit nuanced. Kathleen is quite right. I agree with the points that she made. And it's true that criticism of Israel is not the same as being anti-Semitic. On the other hand, criticism of Israel can often be rooted in anti-Semitic attitudes, and that is, of course, what the specific thing that the Labour Party has been struggling to deal with for the last few years after Jeremy Corbyn. This is what Keir Starmer's made quite a big thing of moving on from that. And so this is why this particular case and this candidate is so important, because after all that, after years of Keir Starmer saying we've got rid of that now, you do get candidates who at the very least stray into that territory. And yes, criticism of Israel is not anti-Semitic, but the reason it seems that the Labour Party disowned him yesterday is because of emerging reports of other things that he'd said, which were getting more into anti-Semitic attitudes, as well as I say, believing in really balmy conspiracy theories. So, you have to take great care in all the parties over the by-election candidates you select, because they are high-profile by-election. And all parties make mistakes with it, but this is just a very big mistake. And, it's another big U-turn by Keir Starmer.